How to choose a tutor. You are an adult, so this means that you have work commitments. You have some family chores. Maybe you have kids that you need to take to school from school. You have to take care of your loved ones, maybe your elderly parents. Or maybe you just need sleep because you are not 18 anymore, so you can't party all night and go take an exam the next morning. So this means that when we choose a learning partner, learning provider, we want them not to overload you with the information, present the information in a way that is memorable, make sure that the information is accurate so you are not starting whatever is wrong, and we also want you to pass, right? So let's have a look at the criteria that you might apply. First, whether the tutor has ACCA approved learning partner status. So ACCA gives a gold approved learning partner status to those tutors that consistently deliver strong results well above the global average. And it comes with additional effort, it comes with additional cost because you have to pay for ACCA to audit whatever you are doing and how and so on. But for a student, it means that, first of all, the content is going to be up to date. That is critical for certain papers like SBR, financial reporting, advanced taxation and law. It may be less important for topics like advanced performance management or advanced financial management because the syllabus there doesn't really change much. But for other papers, well, yes, it's a big deal. And if it is an approved learning partner, then they have access to the Educators Hub, they have access to ACCA to ask questions, to be present at the webinars that ACCA provides, and it improves the teaching style also. Also, the quality of materials is likely to be higher because for me to keep the status, to pay back for the cost that I have incurred, I need to make sure that you pass. So I need to make sure that my materials are not just, okay, get the theory and get lost. No, they have to be presented in a way that is going to be memorable. And it also means that your questions are going to be answered because, again, your tutor is going to be very motivated, also financially, for you to pass. You also need to look at the level of tutor involvement. There are some courses that are completely pre-recorded and you don't get any questions to ask, or the number of questions is very limited. But you know what? Quite often there could be a question that would take you 20 minutes to decipher, and a tutor could have answered you in 1 minute via a text message or record a short voice note or a quick video. It happens to me all the time. So I have my clients and they're like, okay, is it like that? And I would say, no, you're misinterpreting that. Look, it has to be done like this and that. And I'm going to send you a recording of my screen. So ongoing access to a tutor is your first assurance that you are thinking in the right direction. And you might argue, but we do have ChatGPT. Yes, you do, but you know the problem is that ChatGPT is a language prediction model and it is based on everything that is sourced from the internet, and quite often with ACCA exams is not really accurate, is not really up to date. So it's better to ask the person that can actually vouch for the accuracy of the information. And also, as a tutor who's bound by previous standards to deliver results, I actually love when my students ask questions because I know what is the stage of their skill development. And as such, the communication is actually twofold because it gives surety to the tutor that the student is actually doing something, that the student is actually aiming for the pass, and it gives the student the ability to do it in a more efficient way. Another thing is the feedback quality. So I hate when courses have just one mock because you write a mock and then you know that learn that everything is bad with you, and what next? That you don't have enough time to change something, and even if you change your answering style, still it's just not enough time to do that, or you don't know whether you have changed it appropriately or not. So it is important that you have mocked assignments throughout the course. So for example, for my Platinum course, I have 8 mocked assignments because for SBR, it's so very important that the person develops the skill of looking at the scenario, finding the clues there, and formulating their answer in a way that brings marks. And it is important that it's not just 1 or 0, 1 or 0. It is important that there is a feedback, and not just the overall feedback, but a detailed feedback to your sentences, because you need to know how to get your ideas, how to get your strengths and weaknesses, and work with that. We don't care about the model answer, we care about you. The next thing is the content quality. So actually there could be 3 types of courses, so theory only, revision only, or combination of both. You better off with the theory together with the examples, because just studying theory is ineffective for adults. Now that is important that with your tuition course, with this tuition stage, it's not just theory, but also you will be given the ideas of how it is tested and why. And ideally, you should take both tuition and revision, especially if you come after the exemptions. So in my case, it's going to be Platinum course. And if you need to reduce a budget, you can choose only the tuition course, but in doing so, make sure that it has practice, that it shows how the standards are actually tested. So the content quality is important, and also content delivery. I personally am not a big fan of recordings where there is no visual of a tutor, because as human beings, we remember the information better when we see the gestures, when we see the facial expression, and it works much more efficiently. And also, I'm not a big fan of a tutor just being over the screenshot of a book and just highlighting whatever is written there, because as an adult, you learn from your experience. So it has to be based on storytelling. That's why I've spent hours, just hours creating the content. So there would be pictures, there would be stories and so on, so that you would be okay with watching a video just once, understanding it and remembering it, not just rereading whatever was there on the screen. So yes, make sure that there is lots of visual support. It is also important to pay attention who has created the content. I know that you want to reduce the cost of studying, and quite often learning providers meet you halfway and they say, okay, so how about we're going to have a talking head who is an experienced tutor, but all of the materials like handouts, like presentations are going to be prepared by yesterday's student. And even if that yesterday's student is a prize winner, it still doesn't mean much, because they just don't know where students struggle, where an average student struggles, what to focus on, and so on. So an experienced tutor is going to make sure that the content highlights whatever is examinable, how it is examined, what looks like a fun fact but is irrelevant for this very exam, or what looks very, very complicated but it can actually be skipped. But what looks simple but actually is the key to scoring your pass rate. So for example, for SBR, IS38 intangible assets is actually the key to this exam. Without it, you are going to not pass most likely. So make sure that the content has been created by a tutor themselves. I haven't outsourced anything because I just want it to be strict to the point. Also pay attention to the chemistry. It is equally important, so make sure that you watch some promo videos of that very tutor, because we are different and you may like that very person style, but your friend is going to say that they are too boring, and you're going to say, oh no, your tutor is too energetic, I feel that my heart starts pacing. So whatever you decide is great, but what is important is that their chemistry matches with yours. Now, as for live versus pre-recorded content, I get asked quite often, like, will there be live webinars and so on? Look, I don't like live webinars. This is why. First of all, the timing is quite unfair. We all come from different time zones, so this means that some of you are going to rush back from work and will have to sit this live webinars without supper, and some of you are going to be falling asleep already, and so on. Besides, there is limited attention span. Optimal focus, and that is what you're going to see in my videos, is 15 to 20 minutes, not more, and we can't have webinars that are 20 minutes long. Quality deterioration. So interruptions, the fatigue of a tutor, it all reduces the effectiveness of webinars. And I started my work as a tutor with offline courses when we would study for 8 hours straight. This is less efficient than having pre-recorded lectures of, let's say, 5 hours long. I mean, short videos, but still the shorter in total. So I prefer pre-recorded content, but I also prefer the close touch with the tutor. That's why with my Platinum course, you will also have this individual meeting with me so that I would test your strengths and weaknesses and develop a plan based on that. So individual strategic sessions are equally important. And finally, money unfortunately is a factor, especially for students from lower income economies. And if you really want a course that you can't afford, well, there are several ways how you can do that actually. You can ask your employer to contribute. And quite often this works, and actually it makes the employer like you more because they start understanding the value of your education. Or you can be open with the learning provider. You can ask about referral discounts. Okay, so what happens if I bring a friend, 2 friends, and so on. You can try to reduce tutors' involvement if appropriate. So you're going to say, okay, I really want that, but maybe we can reduce, let's say, the number of questions, the meetings, whatever, in order to reduce price. You may enroll earlier, so tutors are super busy last month before the exam and they are less busy right after the exam release date, week, so try to enroll earlier and get a discount. Or you can ask them to pay in installments. Like for me, I always give my students this ability because it just makes their life a bit easier. But make sure that saving money doesn't mean sacrificing the quality, because again, you're an adult, you don't want to fail the exam, and money is still money. Even if you paid less, you deserve the quality. So this is what I would look at, or the criteria that I would look at if I were to choose an ACCA tutor, and I give it to you from my experience as a working professional as a tutor who has had groups with 100% pass rates, and I will be willing to get some feedback from you. And make sure that you subscribe to learn more about ACCA, SBR, and the tips to pass this exam. Oh, and yes, my SBR course is something that has helped lots of people pass with less time effort. Bye!